Morning everybody, and welcome back to Waffles RC. We are going to get back on our rotator. Now, last week we left off with this, exactly pretty much like this. I have gotten a few helpful hints, still have not been able to figure this out. I have everything hooked up the way that even the company shows on their YouTube videos how it's supposed to go. They just won't do it. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong. But we will get it figured out. Alright, sorry for interrupting the video. I figured it out. To say the least, I'm not the sharpest crayon in the shed, but I did figure it out, and I want to send a big thanks to Blue Dooley because you were the closest person to giving me a good understanding of what I was doing wrong and how I should be doing it, because I have spent 3 days fighting this thing. So I'm more mad at myself than anything, but let me show you what I did wrong so that anybody else in the future who wants to mess with these can understand it in more layman terms. So it took also messing with my fly sky to get this figured out, but essentially in the long run what I was doing wrong is you hook these up to one of the VR switches, and on this one there are 5 of them. So right now you see it's not doing anything, but if you turn it, oh wait, no, I have it on the wrong one. Okay, so on this VR switch right here, if you turn it, it goes out. And what I was fighting was I turned it up like that, then turned it back down, and it just kept going in and out. We'll let it go back down. Well, the way I've been able to explain it to myself is it's a potentiometer. So it stops where you stop this. Wherever you put this is where it's going to stop. So it's basically, good comparison that I can think of is it's like a dimmer switch on your lights at your house. You want just a little bit of light, you just turn it up just a little bit. You want a lot of bit of light, you turn it up quite a bit, and it'll go to wherever you leave this. So I know some of you are probably laughing hysterically at the clumsiness that it is me, but 2 very important things to remember here. I've never claimed I was an expert. I like to learn, and now I've learned. So hope that helps anybody else that's fighting any issues with linear servos just like this. Once again, thank you Blue Dooley so much for giving me a much better explanation out of everything that I've read, anyone that I talked to. Yours was the closest thing that didn't click into my head until now, which is 1 day before this video comes out. So back to wherever I edit this into the video. Thank you, goodbye. In this video, we are going to make progress while I wait to get a hold of the company to figure that out. Now, I've already done some work. Okay. Now I've already done some work just without filming, just wanted to get some progress done and not feel so bad about not being able to figure that out. So what I have done is I've started the Outriggers, also known as I mounted some servos. So I cut some holes, I cut some slots to put the servos in. They're just hanging out in there. I did put the servo horn, I guess you would call it, the servo shaft, further to the outside so that way it folds in, but when it folds out, it'll be out as far as it will allow it, basically. So we've done the 2 front ones. As you can tell, we need something for the back because I'm going to have 2 on the front, 2 on the back. There's a big space right here. So I need to figure out a frame for this. I do still have the wheel lift that has to go right here. So let's figure out a frame and something to mount 2 more servos on the back side of this. Now I would apologize for the mess, but like I said, I've already been working. But now that I've done this, I realize I need to do something a little more important first, and that is put bolts through the front of this, weld them in, so that way I have a good mounting point on the front, and then build the frame off of the back. Actually, I realized I'd already marked the holes. So I already marked the holes, so let me drill those and find some bolts real quick. Here we go. Here is a rear frame. Now I can tell you this is one of my favorite parts about this hobby, is that this is mine, and the keen-eyed viewers will notice that this is not even with the truck. It doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be perfect. I want it to look good, but once this is all completed, you're not really going to see this. And even if you do, okay. That's my biggest message that I want to get across when making stuff like this. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. The amateur person just getting started out, don't worry about perfection. The main goal that you want is do your best. I'm not perfect. Neither is any of this, because I'm pretty sure the cab isn't even centered on the frame of this truck either. But it looks pretty decent, especially on camera. So now I need to figure out where I want to mount these rear servos and make little mounts for them, which is just going to consist essentially of this. I don't know what it is because I cut the tag off. So this, going to put it somewhere along here-ish, make tabs for the servo to mount onto, and then maybe weld it in. That's the best idea I've come up with so far. For you, it'll be a few seconds. For me, it'll probably be an hour before I get both of these in here. Actually, I'm not going to weld this part in all the way. I'm going to measure it. I'm trying to use the tape measure as little as possible on this thing. But I'm going to measure it, cut it, make the mounts, get the servo mounted. Then once I make the legs, especially for these rear ones, once I make the legs and figure out where they're going to fold out, I want them as close to the back as possible. So once I make the legs for the back, then I can position this where it needs to be to get it as close to the back as possible, and then weld it in from there. So I'll see you in a second. And just like that, they're done. As you can see, for the most part, the servo fits in there. Got it relatively as close to the edge as I wanted, and I made the other one. That is for the driver's side. This is for the passenger side, keeping the servo shaft further to the outside as much as possible. Now, it goes without saying, but for those of you who are new to this, don't weld with your servo on here. It could fry the electronics inside of it, possibly. You never know. I don't risk it. Well, okay, sometimes I do, but I have a bad servo, which is, these ones are basically all the same size, but I have a bad one. I use that as my guide for it. So once again, don't throw away parts. So on the truck here, this is going to go like so, somewhere. Either here, or here, or here. I don't know yet. I have to make legs. Now, while testing everything, I made a leg, but that was testing. So essentially they're going to be like this, stick out. I don't know how well you can see that, but there. So like this one would be relatively out here, but I need to make this leg longer so, you know, it reaches the ground, because right now it's about an inch away. And then when it folds up, it's going to sit like that. So I am going to have it just sit right on here, but I do need to make this part of the leg a little bit shorter. Once again, this was all testing to see if it would work on the first iteration. Basically, it'll sit like that when not in use. It does clear the boom once I get it closer, and it has a resting point for it to sit on. You hit the thing, and it comes out like so. And I think I am going to keep it at that 90, just because if I angle it out any further, one, I think it would look weird. Two, this would go in too far, and then that would also look weird. I'm going to remake this. The other fun part about doing all this is that I'm not going to be able to make one leg. I can't take this and copy it for the other four, because I guarantee none of these are at the same height. So what happens when you don't use a tape measure? What I'm going to do is start by making one leg by cutting this one apart, because I need this plate because I already have the holes drilled for the legs. I'm going to cut this apart, get a measurement, figure it out. I got to move the truck over and do that for each leg on each side of the truck. This will be fun. I'll do a time lapse on one just so you can get an idea of what I'm doing, but it's going to essentially look like this. So I'll show you the process very quickly, and then when you guys come back from the time lapse, hopefully all four legs will be done and we can get to testing it. So you can tell by the bright light on my face and the fading sky that that was a lot of work, but we have a good result. All of this is just temporarily held in. There are the back outriggers, and there are the fronts. The fronts are the only ones that are hard mounted right now. And that one is sticking up because I needed it all the way out. The rest of them are all the way up. I need that one all the way down, even though it's facing up. Physics, you get it. So that one is like that. The rest of them, I got to put that one back down. But we have everything in its spot. And if we look this direction, you can see that extended, yes, that one sticks up way past the cab. But that one just barely up past the cab. But we don't have to worry about it because the stacks will hit anything before these will. The whole goal with this was to try and keep it as compact as possible. These back ones are going to look kind of funky, but I think if I put the stop for the main boom, if I put the stop about equal with that, they won't look as weird. The front ones might. I'm not all that concerned about it. All right, so next step with this is temporarily wiring it and getting these to fold down and extend out. I have to center all four of these, and the way that I'm going to wire it up is the driver's side will have its own outriggers, passenger side will have its own outriggers. So you can, if I'm pulling from this way, I only have to have these ones out. You get what I'm saying? So that's the theory behind it, because I didn't want to have to put all four. I didn't want to have to put all four down just to do that, because in the real world, a real rotator, if they're pulling on this side, they're not going to put the outriggers out into traffic all the way over there. They're only going to use these ones. So that's the theory behind it. So by that light right there, it's time for me to go inside, and I'm quite tired. So I'll see you guys in the morning when I temporarily wire all this mess up and we see. I know it'll work. I've already tested. Okay, I tested one servo. I haven't tested all four. we'll see how it goes. See you in the morning. Good morning again. Been out here messing with some wiring, and we got stuff to actually work. I know, it's kind of crazy, isn't it? But let me show you what I have done. So what I have done is made a mess of everything, but some of it works. And I say some of it on purpose because I ran into a few issues, but easily solvable. I have also learned my lesson, and I tested this to make sure that it did work off camera. So that way we didn't run into the boom incident again, which at this point of filming, I have still not figured it out. You guys have given me some good ideas, but unfortunately, none of them have worked. It's something to do with these. So hopefully this week I'll get a hold of GoBuilda and get that figured out. But if we turn this on, forgot to undo that. I'll explain that in a minute. But if you look up here, let me bring you a little closer so you can see. So we have them up, and I have it all on this thing. So if I want the driver's side leg down, it goes down and then goes back up. Let me see if I can slow that down real quick. Okay, so I'll figure out how to slow it down because it's kind of a bit ridiculous and very unrealistic. But it does go up and down. And I think it's clear. If we want the passenger side, it goes down as well and back up. So we can do both or just fold them up. I do have them to where they're sitting on here. Once they're folded out, I think it'll be fine to just have them sitting on the servo. Once again, I don't know exactly what I'm going to try pulling with it, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So now, if we put this down, you can clearly see that the leg is not touching. So let me just lower that down. I'll speed this up so it doesn't seem so boring. So with that leg down, no movement at all. So eventually we'll have the back legs as well. So let me retract this. I know, right? Riveting content, isn't it? So put that leg up. I'm so excited that this is working correctly. So right now, both of these legs are tied together, so they go up and down with each other. Eventually, I'm going to have just the driver's side and just the passenger side. The issue that I'm having with these rear ones is they're going opposite. So when I put this one down, that one goes up. So the quick and easy solution to that is get a servo reverser, put it in line with this one, then it should be fine, and they'll move at the same time. So that is how I'm going to fix that. Also, just so you guys are aware, the way that I'm setting up the controller is the driver's side is going to be on the driver's side of this. So if I want the driver's side leg to go down, there you go. If I want the passenger side to go down, goes down. Bring it up. Right now, both of these legs are on A, but eventually that's going to be driver's side legs. And then C right here is going to be for the passenger side legs to go down. So I'm trying to keep this set up in such a way that it makes sense no matter which way I'm facing the truck. So if I'm looking at it here, I don't have to think, oh, which side? No, from holding it like this, I want the driver's side down. That's how, in my mind, makes the most sense. For the servos, once again, these servos are super cheap servos. I did get these travel tuners from GoBuilda, and they have been working perfectly. I can move these to a full 180 degrees, set the points that I want. They work absolutely perfect. I just need those actuators to work. But I would say that is very good progress for what we have started today. If I figure out, or if I have already figured out, the editor will let me know. So I'd say that's pretty good progress. Once again, it is slow going. I admit that. But what we can work on, if I have to order parts for the boom, we can start working on our wheel lift, which I just realized is using one of those actuators as well. But I can use my old actuators for it because those are going to be mostly hidden. But then we also still have some work to do to the truck's frame itself. I want to shorten this back part up a bit, but I got lights in here. I also want to make some stands on the back of this to sit on the frame, so it's not relying so much on just the fifth wheel and the two front bolts, because those are the only 3 points of contact for this whole thing. So having it at least sit on the frame, I think would make it a little bit stronger, or at least a little more stable. And I'm going to try to make it so that it works with this. And with this one, because this one is mostly stable, but if I can get it to be a little more stable, I think it would be worth it. So lots of work to do. Did a lot of work on this thing, but just need some servo reversers. Find a final spot for these because they're not welded in. But I'm very happy that we are making solid progress on this thing, because the more stuff I get on here and get working, the closer I can get to covering it all and making it, you know, not look like a giant nest of wires and weird stuff. Also, everything is still just mostly tack welded, so I'm gonna have to do a final on everything. Yes, the legs look weird as well. I'll give you guys that. I can't argue it. I do need to figure out what to do with the wiring to try and clean that up a little bit, because you can't just have it flopping around. So I need to find a good way to be able to have the wiring come out and get to these better. I want to make, I'm thinking of something that I can put on here that will cover this. And the way that I build things, I build it to make sure that I can do maintenance on it. So when I do put covers or boxes essentially on this thing, I'm not going to be able to do it like the other one where it's just solid. I need to be able to take them off to get to all of these different parts, because cheap servos may not last very long. You should think of that as well when you're building something quite crazy like this. Think about serviceability. If I were to just weld boxes onto this thing, how am I going to change this servo right here when it goes out? Because I'm sure that it will. We don't know, but I need to be able to get to it. There will be a video of just cleaning this thing up, making it look a little bit nicer. And once again, if you've made it this far into the video, if I can get this boom to work correctly with these actuators, and even if I can't, if I have to run the old ones, then that's what I'll do. But I am going to attempt to put a telescoping part on this. So, like I said, we're going crazy with this one. So, from Waffles RC, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for subscribing. Much more positive video this week, so I'm quite happy about that. So, if you'd like to grab some merch, we have merch. It's cold out there, apparently, in other places of the world. We have hoodies, beanies, we got all sorts of stuff. So, go check it out right here. All the proceeds from those sales go right back into these things to give you guys riveting content of a leg moving at about a millimeter every 5 seconds, probably. So that's the kind of content you'll get here. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you next week when we keep adding more stuff to this. It's me again, and end the video, and we're making good progress. So you know what time it is. It's time to see how much it all weighs. As you can see, it is zeroed out. Stay there. let's just put everything on here to get our weight. That servo's on there. And we'll put you on here because we can. Yep, 9 pounds, 8.5 ounces. And realistically, it's maybe half done. I think it's going to be heavier than that one. See you next week.